We're live. Good afternoon, and we are on the 17th of February 2024, and we're looking at the Championship. Let's start with Friday, shall we? We'll go straight back to Friday. I have to admit, and Dan, I've got my coffee with me. I have to admit, I thought that it would be a draw with West Brom not doing too badly recently, to be quite honest. I thought West Brom might be able to get a draw there. I thought if anybody won, it would be West Brom. So, got that one wrong. The lunchtime fixture, the Plymouth Leeds. What do we say about that? Plymouth usually score 3 at home. I've thought that they're going to be 2 or 3 goals to the good at some point. How many Leeds scored would have been, anybody's business. And I was thinking it was going to be a sort of 3-2 or a 3-4. I was thinking a high-scoring game. It's now in the second half and it's 1-0 to Leeds. So it's not the high-scoring game I thought it would be. Plymouth are usually really, really good at home. And nobody here would, looking at this, would deny that Leeds are... if you attack them and if you're right up in their face, that's when they don't really know what to do. It looks like Plymouth are giving them a little bit too much. They're giving them too much respect at the minute, which is not like Plymouth whatsoever. I was thinking the Leeds win, but I was thinking sort of 4-3 or 3-2. But it's certainly not going to be a 4-3 or 3-2. But never mind. We all live and learn. So let's go down the list as it sees on the Sky Sports app. We have first up Birmingham versus Sunderland. Birmingham versus Sunderland. Now we've got an interesting. This is actually quite interesting because I will start with Sunderland. Sunderland only managed to win Huddersfield last time out 1-0 away from home. That's a sign of a team that's not really firing on all cylinders constantly. They usually do get a goal. 9 times out of 10 they get a goal. If I look back, there's only the Hull City game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games ago where they lost 1-0 at home. Again, not one you would expect to have happened. The Stoke, they won 3-1 at home. I would have expected them to have got a clean sheet there and to have blasted 3 or 4 against them, seeing as they did so well against some of the other sides down at the bottom. Very up and down. But Birmingham, 2 games ago, losing away to Sheffield Wednesday 2-0. How? Have they done that? They won against Blackburn 1-0 at home, but Blackburn are a pretty poor side most of the time. Not one of my favourite sides. I did have them to be down in the bottom 6 or 7 at the beginning of the season. They lost to West Brom, but again, Birmingham losing to West Brom, local derby, anything happens in derbies. They lost to Leicester 3-0, but everybody's losing to Leicester. They say they won to Stoke 2-1 away, which is quite impressive because Stoke are actually quite good at home. They managed to sort of scrape a few decent performances anyway, even if they're not getting the results. So I would have expected them to have won, but like 2-1 was probably a pretty good result. Quite apt. Hull City at home, Birmingham won them in the FA Cup 2-1. So Birmingham are probably doing the most consistent play. But then you have to look at the Sheffield Wednesday defeat and think, a blip. Where did it come from? Sunderland are not firing on all cylinders. They can do a lot better. Last 6 games here, how many of them are championship? Well, they're all championship. Lose, win, draw, win, lose. As opposed to Birmingham's win, lose, win, which is the last one's an FA Cup anyway. So I'm sort of edging my bets here. I think if anybody could win this, it would be Sunderland could win it if they turn up. But they're away from home against a Birmingham side that know how to defend, and even though they're letting the goals in, 3 defeats in a row there, they're against good sides. I really, and 2 of them are against good. One of them was against Sheffield Wednesday. It's difficult. I think that it could be a boring 0-0 draw or a boring 1-1 draw. I'm going to go for 1-1. Then we go to Bristol City versus QPR. QPR are now starting to do quite well. 2 wins in a row. Middlesbrough and Southampton. Now that is not... QPR, Bristol City. Bristol City are doing quite well. So they're both doing quite well now. So Bristol City, a win against Southampton. They did really well in midweek. Carved that one out really well. Middlesbrough, no mean feat, away from home as well. Nottingham Forest, draw, 1-1 after 90 minutes. That was good. And Leeds, okay, they only lost 1-0 at home. That was quite good. The downside in the last 6 games, probably Coventry away, 2-2 draw. Bristol do tend to go up and down, good, bad, and indifferent. QPR, on the other hand, they're starting to pick up some decent wins, and they're not just doing it at home. The last one was away at Blackburn, who, again, I've said I'm not too fussed about Blackburn's style of play or technical ability. But then Birmingham at home and Millwall at home, and Millwall are actually quite good away from home. So 2-0, that was quite good. So I think QPR are the more consistent. Bristol City can be up and down, and QPR are now starting to sort of win every other game, 2 or 3 games they're winning. Chair seems to be coming back into that form again. If Chair carries on playing well, I can see this being a 1-0 win or a 2-0, probably a 2-0 win to QPR. I'm going to go 2-0 win to QPR. Huddersfield, who will be looking at this. Huddersfield against Hull. Huddersfield, it's difficult to say about Huddersfield. They're sort of, they have good periods and bad periods. At the minute, Huddersfield, I mean, they won against Sunderland, which is like at home, which is like just ridiculous, isn't it? And then they lost to Southampton, but 5-3. I mean, that was like, wow, what a game. Sheffield Wednesday, they slaughtered 4-0. But once you're a couple ahead against Sheffield Wednesday, you are actually able to slot probably 4, 5, 6 against them. QPR 1-1 away, but they're starting to play really well. Blackburn 1-1, Plymouth 1-1. There's a couple. There's 3 draws in a row then, and all of a sudden they seem to have really started to play well. Even the Southampton defeat 5-3 they played extremely well. I mean, the Huddersfield are now starting to pick up the performances, and the results are coming in as well. Hull City, on the other hand, they're managing to just sneak wins. 1-0 behind against Rotherham and then win 2-1. 1-0 against Millwall, 1-0 against Sunderland. Even when it's been the other way around, they lost against Birmingham 2-1. They lost against Norwich 2-1. You're thinking they lost against Swansea 1-0. I don't see it being a high-scoring game. Huddersfield can make it a high-scoring game. They tend to play the Warnock way, which is put 10 men behind the ball and then try and play down the play down on the break. Will that stop Hull? Maybe not. Hull City are actually quite good on against teams that play on the break. Hull City are probably more likely to just sit back and let you defend and say, well, eventually you're going to want to come out and, we'll catch you then. We'll keep pressurising the wings, pressurising, keep probing the wings. I think for that reason, I'm going to go for a Huddersfield 1, Hull City 2. That's a boring 2-1 result. I don't like giving out 2-1 results. Let's not give out too many 2-1 results. We have Leicester Borough. Now, this is going to be interesting because Leicester managed to go straight into that 2-0 lead against Sheffield Wednesday and then do nothing. And that worries me. That worries me that they couldn't break them down after they'd gone 2-0 up. Watford 2-1. Stoke City 5-0, and Birmingham 3-0 are the only 2 real games where they seem to have really trounced the opposition. I think they did the same with Rotherham as they did with Sheffield Wednesday. Went 2-0 up and then just sat back on it. Will that work with Borough? Well, they are at home. Borough, on the other hand, are not doing very well. That 6-1 defeat away to Chelsea seems to have hit their confidence absolutely. 4-6. For that reason, I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Leicester. Millwall versus Sheffield Wednesday. Oh dear. Millwall, lose, draw, lose. Not doing very well, guys. Whereas Sheffield Wednesday have actually started playing really well. They won 2-0 against Birmingham. They lost 2-0 against Leicester, but that's Leicester. The odd one was 4-0 defeat to Coventry and the 4-0 defeat to Huddersfield. I say if they go behind too early, it could be a disaster for them. I could see them perhaps letting 2 or 3 in. Because Millwall are at home, I'm going to go for a Sheffield Wednesday win narrowly. Let's say 2-0. I'm going to go 2-0 to Sheffield Wednesday. Why not? Norwich Cardiff. This is much more of an even game than we think. I'm going straight in at 1-1 because I don't really see Norwich's defence as being any good at all. I think their attack is great. However, we have Coventry, 5 defeats and 1 win, as my daughter comes past me and makes a noise in the background. So, okay, guys, she just stubbed her toe. That's all. So, Coventry, 3 points out of 18. Not very good. I think that this is one that they're going to want to win because they don't want to be slipping into the bottom third. So I think you're going to find a remarkable comeback by Cardiff. I think it might be 1-1. We'll go for 1-1. Last 4 games, Preston versus Blackburn. Now we have Preston versus Blackburn. Preston are on a roll, 3 wins in a row. Not only that, but they have scored 7 goals in the last 3 games. 11 in the last 12. That just shows you that they are really firing on all cylinders. However, Blackburn up and down, scored nothing last time out, 1-0 defeat against Birmingham, but then they score 3, a 1 and a 4 against Wrexham. I think Blackburn they're up and down, but they're more down than up. I think that we're going to see Preston keeping on this roll. I think they're going to win 4 in a row here, and I think we may see a West Brom result for Blackburn. I'm going to go 4-1 to Preston. So we have my team, Rotherham United, against Watford. So Watford have now lost 4 in a row. They drew 0-0 before that against Sheffield Wednesday, but then it's a really good one. 1-1 draw against Southampton in the Cup. Where did it come from? Where did it come from? Where did it go? And then you have Rotherham. Well, that's just the only point they've got in the last 6 has been a 1-1 draw against Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough recovered it in the last few minutes. They could have got their first away win in 2 years, but they didn't. Will they win at home against Watford? I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if this is a 0-0 because Rotherham can't score, but then Watford don't seem to be able to win. So 0-0 or 1-1. I'm going to go for 0-0. So that's my. So I'm going to go for 0-0. I think that is my heart. So my heart is saying 0-0 because I'm a Rotherham fan. My head says that Watford are going to win 3-0 because I just think that Watford may have that will to just not be dropping into that bottom half. So, see why I don't tend to. I don't like doing a prediction for my own team. So we can probably wipe that one out. Stoke City versus Coventry. Stoke City first winning 5 games for them. Before that, it was a win away at Rotherham, 1-0. It was against Rotherham, so not going to lose that, are they? And but this one was again the recent win was against QPR at home, 1-0. A side with the skills of Stoke against a side like QPR with just one decent player, Chair. 1-0 wasn't such a brilliant result. They rescued that one. Whereas Coventry are... The last defeat was 4 games ago, 2-1 away at Norwich, which actually is really good because they can be good, they can be bad, they can be bloody awful. I think we've got 2 teams here who are almost on the beach, guys. Actually, almost on the beach. Stoke aren't going down. They're not going up. Coventry have a chance. They can catch that 6th slot up. I think for that one reason, they have a little bit more edge to try and do a little bit better. And I think they're going to win 1-0. So I'm going to go Stoke 0, Coventry 1, purely on the basis that Coventry have more to play for. And if we go into the last game, it's Ipswich away at Swansea. So we see Swansea 1 win in their last 6 games. 1-0 away to Hull City, with 5 defeats. Leeds 4-0. Ouch. Plymouth losing 1-0, and at home. And Plymouth aren't that good away from home. They lost away at Leicester City 3-1. That's probably about right. They lost to Bournemouth in the Cup 5-0, which is probably pretty okay. and they lost at home to Southampton, another good side, 3-1. It seems to be one of these things, where teams like Chelsea won 6-1, and you think they're playing a Premiership side, they get thrashed, and they've come back and play, and it's really hit their confidence. Playing a Premiership team is great, but if it knocks your confidence that much, is it worth it? Great income, guys, but it's knocked Swansea's confidence for 6. I'm going to go for Swansea. I was thinking about last night. Swansea. Will they score? I think Swansea will score. I like their front line. Swansea 1, Ipswich 3. Ooh, that's a toughie, isn't it? So that's the predictions from today. As I just go back to the West Brom game, it was obviously West Brom 0, Southampton 2. I really did think that was going to be a West Brom 1-1, or if possibly a 2-1 to West Brom. Didn't see that one coming. But if you actually looked at the game, the West Brom, I thought, played quite well. They just didn't manage to get the ball, in the right position to have a really good shot. Possibly because Southampton's defence was actually quite good this time. It hasn't been at the beginning of the season, is now. They've made it a lot better. So I think for that reason, and I didn't really think that would have made so much of a difference. Southampton 2-0 up against West Brom. Plus, I think that penalty appeal, if you look at it, he sort of just nudges his arm. He sort of does that with his arm. Also, although it's a natural position, he does actually know that it's hitting his arm and pushes it to the side. I'm not too sure that wasn't a penalty, based on the fact that although his arm was in a natural position, you see him rotate his arm only a couple of inches, but just enough to push that ball away slightly. So that's today's forecasts. It's now 2:00. We shall see you at about. We'll probably see you about 20 to 3, 2:45. I will be doing a quick run through the different teams that have been announced. We'll then go through and have based on those teams, what do we think is going to happen? Do we think there's going to be any changes to what we think is who's going to win? And we shall go through, and if anybody does want to join me, then I shall see you at 20 to 3.